Red Wings Live on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Arby's. And welcome to this edition of Red Wings Live here on Fox Sports Detroit. Trevor Thompson and Chris Osgood coming at you on this Friday night in the Motor City, a place where we are seemingly safe from this major winter storm that is supposed to cripple the Northeast. But Ozzy, oddly enough, Buffalo, a place for snow. We'll miss this storm, although the Wings are hoping to blow in and do some damage on ice inside the First Niagara Center. Your thoughts on this one tonight?
And they're going to have to now. They're only 3 points in the playoffs, but they went 5-1 on a very tough road trip. Had a great trip, unbelievable trip, and still find themselves only 3 points in. Each game becomes more and more important as you move along here. This Buffalo game is no different. They have Kane. O'Reilly's having a good year as well. Obviously, the youngster Eichel, they get their goaltender back in Leonard. This guy's a good goaltender. He's big. He's going to be tough to beat. This is a place the Buffalo Sabres played well against the Red Wings, so they're going to have to bring their A game. They won 4-3 last time with a late goal by Tatar in a very, very tough game.
Now, Robin Lehner is a guy we haven't seen so far this year. He hasn't played many games on his bounce back. Your thoughts on what he can provide them?
Yeah, he's coming off a high ankle sprain. That's a bad injury for a goaltender. If there's any injury that's tough, it's that one for a goaltender to come back from the high ankle sprain. And he's a big guy. He's capable of shutting the door. The other goaltender, yes, he was all right, but he wasn't great. He wasn't a guy that could steal a game. Leonard, he can steal a game for Buffalo and put that together with, now they have some speed. They're capable of scoring some goals, so the Red Wings are going to have to be on their toes here in Buffalo tonight.
And luckily for the Red Wings, Ozzy, the road has been kind to them in the month of January. They've won 5 of 6 away from home this month, and it all started in the first game of the month when they beat these same Sabres back at First Niagara Center to kick off a month of travel madness. Hasn't gone well at the Joe, but no need to panic there, as John Keating explains as he joins us now from Buffalo for the first time tonight. Keats?
Well, Trev, thanks. My dad used to tell me that I should have lots of patience because I've never used any of it. Here's the thing with elite athletes. Patience usually isn't a part of them. They want to be there first. They want to get to the point before everybody else. They want to win all the battles. Even though the Wings have lost their last 2 games, albeit one in a shootout, they've liked their game ever since a 5-1 stretch that began on January 2nd here in Buffalo. And the patience really requires a leap of faith. Keep doing the good things and success will follow you.
Kind of feel on the ice, like when you're doing good and when you're doing bad. Like when you're doing good, it doesn't mean you're gonna win the game. Like, you know, hockey is it's a tricky game. You know, you don't have to play the best and win the game. I mean, that's just the way how it is. So, you know, we're in the right process, doing the right thing. Just, you know, we didn't score our opportunities and, you know, we lost the game. But, you know, if we will keep doing what we're doing, it's going to turn around. And I think we're on the right pace to being a playoff team.
Played good the last few games here, even though we've lost 2 in a row. One it wasn't a shootout, I guess, but you know, we're playing good. We're creating chances, so we're just gonna stick to it, and that's what we've been talking to, and hopefully we can keep going the play we've been doing tonight.
As you'll see behind me, the Red Wings are wearing their home reds on the road, and they do that every once in a while just to show them off and shake things up a little bit. And speaking of shaking things up, earlier today, Joakim Andersson was placed on waivers. And largely that move was to create a little bit of salary cap space in the event that the Red Wings sustain an injury and somebody has to be called up from the minors. But Andersson will play tonight. Some other team could claim him by noon tomorrow, but at least for now, for tonight, he's a Red Wing, and the Wings are right at the limit because Brad Richards has left the team for the day. He's attending his grandfather's funeral in Prince Edward Island. So the Wings and Sabres coming up here at First Niagara Center with more on perhaps some lineup juggling required by the Richards absence. Back to Trev and the guys in the studio. T.
All right, Keats, thanks. And Ozzy, as we've pointed out several times in the past, wherever Dylan Larkin plays and whoever he plays with, that line seems to produce. And tonight he's back on the first line he ever skated with in the NHL. That's alongside Henrik Zetterberg and Justin Abdelkader. You like?
And I don't think that the lineup juggling is only because Richards is not going to be in the lineup tonight. They have not scored any goals whatsoever since they were in Buffalo last when they did score 4. Since then, they just have not been able to score. On most nights, it's 1 or 2, and it's putting far too much pressure on not only the defense, but the goalies. Now, this line was very, very successful when they were together, the Larkin, Zetterberg, Abdelkader line, and they've worked well together. You know, Abdelkader's a nice forechecker. He gets in there. He'll create some space for Zetterberg, and Zetterberg is just a great playmaker, and he'll allow Larkin to use his speed on that line. So to me, they complement each other very, very well. This team has got to start scoring some goals here. They're going to get into some very important games with 30 games to go. If they continue to score at this pace, pace, they're going to be in trouble here.
Ozzy, they always say you don't play the games on paper, but when you look on paper, this lineup seems to have more firepower than what we're seeing in the score sheet. How come?
It sure does, and I think it's just a matter of they need to get to the net more. On the power play, sure, they're in front of the net. Abdicator's in front of the net. They got that net front presence. Shane is in front of that. 5-on-5, they don't get to the net as much as Coach Blashill would like. They need more middle drives to the net, more dirty goals, more ugly goals in front of the net. I look for them to shoot a lot from bad angles against Buffalo tonight and try and get those rebound goals.
I'll tell you what, unless Peter Mrazek is the unquestioned first star tonight, chances are the offensive hero will be your choice for the McDonald's Player of the Game honors. So stay tuned to Red Wings Live immediately following the game when we will select the Fox Sports Detroit Red Wings Player of the Game presented by McDonald's, where you can stop by for your breakfast favorites, which are now being served all day long. Put your hand up if you missed Drew Miller. You didn't see it, but every guy with a Red Wings jersey on put both hands in the air. The goalies also raised their sticks. How much does the PK miss this guy? We're going to talk about that next on Red Wings Live. Red Wings Live is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by Motor City Casino Hotel. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Maybe you've experienced it in your love life or with a job or a good neighbor, but that old adage always proves itself true. Such is the case on ice for the Red Wings, who have been feeling the void left by the absence of Drew Miller, especially on the power play. Why does missing this one guy leave such a gaping hole, and how do they fill it? John Keating joins us again from Buffalo. He's got some of the answers. Keats.
Can I clean something up first, Trev, before we go on? I mistakenly called him Joachim Anderson because we're in baseball Tiger Fest mode this week, so my apologies to Joachim Anderson and to all of Andy's fans out there. We know better, just a knuckle-headed kind of move. Yes, special teams, by their very title, are designed to be special, and sometimes they're sort of special in how unspecial they might be. Right now, the Red Wings' power play is 17th best in the NHL. Their penalty kill is 19th best, and that PK just lost a guy who has made penalty killing an art form, and Drew Miller to a season-ending knee injury. So the penalty kill will have a different look. Sometimes different isn't always necessarily a bad thing.
For sure, it's tough. I mean, he's one of our leaders out there, and he helps out our penalty kill so much, and other aspects of the game, he's always in position, and he's a good shutdown guy, so it definitely hurts us, and it's sad to see for us, but I think we got a lot of guys that can step up and play that position, and we just kind of got to figure a few things out.
You know, I think the kill's been real good here in the last couple of games, and I think just in terms of the process, and you know, sometimes you kill penalties, but it's not good. Sometimes you get scored on, but it's actually real good. I think the last few games it's been real good. You know, we want Darren Helm to use his quickness as much as possible, including pressure up the ice. That's something that you know, we'd like to see him do. I think Abby's been used a lot more here lately, and he's done a real good job. And then Larkin's somebody that didn't get used last game necessarily, but has been used a little bit, and we think he can do a good job. So it's other guys getting more opportunity to do it and fill that role that is the void of Miller out.
Jeff Blashill's guys trying to go a third straight game without allowing a power play goal. They're 8 for 8 on the penalty kill in their last 8 opportunities. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Sabres just behind Detroit overall in the NHL penalty kill standards. The standings are 15 for 15 over the course of their last 6 games. So special teams, as always, something to watch here on Fox Sports Detroit tonight. Fred?
Absolutely, Keats. Hang tight. We'll get back to you very shortly. But Oz, Drew Miller is a guy who gets very little recognition for the job that he does outside of the guys inside that room. You've seen his work up close and personal and benefited from it. What makes him so effective at his job?
I really think he does his role really well for this Red Wing team, and I think he's a leader of the penalty kill unit, and he blocks shots great. He's got a longer reach than people think he does. He's able to get a stick on a lot of pucks and get him. A smart veteran player, really. And he fits in nicely to what the Red Wings are going to do. And now with him out of the lineup, I look for Larkin to get a little more time in the penalty kill, possibly. With Helm, I'd love to see how the Red Wings haven't scored a shorthanded goal yet this season. I think they should start trying to go after one here. They get some speed with Helm and Larkin. Go after it. Pressure down the ice. Really put a lot of pressure on the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Maybe they'll get that first one.
We'll see how that all plays out as this one rolls on from Buffalo in just a bit. We know that he's an unsung hero, that's for sure, and we certainly wish Drew Miller a speedy recovery from that knee surgery. Keep your spirits up, Drew. We'll see you soon. And not only is the PK down a man, it also makes for one less Michigan-born player in the lineup every night. But up next, there's still plenty of Michigan representation on the ice with this squad. We've got a closer look after this. Yesterday, Justin Verlander made a stop at the VA hospital in Ann Arbor to meet and greet with the veterans from the hospital. He participated in a ribbon-cutting ceremony and at the renovated physical therapy and occupational therapy wing. Overall, it was a great cause and a great day for both Verlander and the veterans. Congrats, Justin. Back to hockey now. Imagine growing up in the great state of Michigan and loving the game of hockey, playing in your driveway with your friends and watching the Wings on TV. Then you get to play at one of the great college programs in the state. And then the ultimate, getting to pull on that original 6 jersey and call yourself a Red Wing. The phrase dream comes true comes to mind. Mickey York has more.
Brings it in, score! Finally, it's Miller time. For Smith to score! Abdelkader scores! They all come from different backgrounds. They all took different paths to get to where they are, but they all have one thing in common. They're pure Michigan.
They have a pride that would go beyond. Everybody in that locker room has lots of pride for sure. Something about being from this home state.
Like Verners, Saunders, and the Coney dog, they're better made, Michigan made. They're Michigan men. Spartans. And Broncos. Even the top dog is a Bulldog and the first Michigan-born coach in franchise history.
I think it's a really, really cool thing to have not just guys on our team, but impact guys on our team.
Guys that as kids dreamed of being like Yzerman, Lidstrom, and Fedorov, hoping one day they would be on the receiving end of the cheers that rained down on the Hockeytown ice.
Sometimes I'll step back and just kind of, realize how lucky I am to be able to play here, and for the fact that I grew up around here cheering this team on.
I grew up a Red Wings faithful. I came down to a few games when I could, but playing in the driveway. I think I had a Brett Gallant jersey when I was a kid, just when you're in the driveway with your brother in the basement, or they were my team.
I was a big Wings fan. Every time I watch hockey, it was Fox Sports Detroit, and I went to a few Stanley Cup parades, and it was cool memories of coming to the Joe as a kid.
And just like everybody else, they all had a favorite Red Wing.
Yeah, Lidstrom was always my favorite player. I loved the way he played, and obviously he was one of the best of all time. So
I loved everyone. I loved the grind line. I loved every part of their team. My brother had white Nikes like Sergei Fedorov, so we all had a part.
I followed Z and Pav, and Yzerman was a little bit before my time, but I grew up idolizing him for what people say about him, and him as a person and a player. So.
No matter where they went to school or how they got to the NHL, their common ground has formed an undeniable bond.
I think it's just really exciting to have, this many Michiganders on the team, and guys that, for the most part grew up in Michigan playing college hockey, and, playing for different schools, so we have rivalries and bets that way, which we have fun with. But, it's just, we're all excited for each other.
The Wings' hometown flavor gives the hometown team deep roots, but when you grew up here, playing here means just a little more.
I think some of the coolest things that I've been a part of with this team is having people like Gordie Howe or Ted Lindsay walking through the locker room and talking to you like a normal person. You're like, whoa, wait a second, this is not normal. This is two of the greatest hockey players in our sport. So it's pretty special to be a part of Red Wings.
Really, Detroit's Michigan's hometown team. They're not just Detroit's team. It's the whole state of Michigan. Traveled throughout the state of Michigan. You hear Go Wings everywhere I go. I think it's awesome.
And here's a reminder that if one of those Michigan-born players or another Detroit player scores a hat trick in this game tonight, you can bring a copy of the scoring summary to a participating Arby's location tomorrow. For a free small order of curly fries, you can find the scoring summary in your newspaper or on the Red Wings page at foxsportsdetroit.com. Up next, who needs to step up big time with Nicholas Kronwall out for the next month? More on that as Red Wings Live rolls on from our studios in Southfield. That's coming up next. Red Wings Live is brought to you by ZotAuto.com, home of Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Ford, Toyota, and Scion. And by Priority Health, Michigan's healthier approach to healthcare. Well, without Niklas Kronwall in the lineup for the next few weeks, the D-Corps is going to have to lift a little extra weight. Brendan Smith is one of those guys who'll do the lifting. He's alongside our John Keating back in Buffalo. Keats?
All right, Trev, thanks. The Wings are adjusting to life without Kronwall. You're getting some power play time. That's what everybody wants, isn't it?
Oh, it's always exciting to get some power play time, but we'll see here tonight, and hopefully we can convert and get some goals.
You and Mike Green have formed a very nice pairing. Take me through the chemistry that's developed between the two of you.
Well, I feel like a lot of people said that we wouldn't work because we kind of got some offensive style, but he's a really good defenseman. I think people overlooked that a little bit because he got 31 goals a couple seasons, and he's a good offensive player. But I think that we have a good feel of each other, and he's such a great guy that I think we fed off and found that chemistry.
You're 2-0-1 against this Sabres team. What's the challenge going up against this group in the season finale between you?
To make sure that we don't take our foot off the pedal. We got to come here and play well. They're fast, they're good, and they're skilled, so you can't take them lightly. They're not like the old Sabres where some people thought it was a night off. These guys can play, and they'll beat you if you don't have your best game.
Betty, thanks. Good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Brendan Smith is a +3 in the 3 games between the Wings and the Sabres this season, Trev.
All right, Keats, thanks. Nick Kronwall won't be back until after the All-Star break, Ozzy, but Brendan Smith's game has grown noticeably this season. Is he the guy that needs to step it up even more in Kronwall's absence, or is there another guy on your radar?
I think each guy is going to have to, including Marchenko and Green, but I'm going with DeKeyser. To me, he's been their best all-round defenseman all season long. He's been good offensively, although he hasn't had a ton of points, but he's created some opportunities. But defensively, this guy's been off the charts. He's got a long reach as well, just like Miller does. He tends to get his stick on a lot of pucks, breaks up a ton of 2-on-1s in games. He's that reliable defenseman that the coaching staff can throw over each and every game and not be worried about what he's going to do out there that's turning the puck over-wise. He just doesn't turn pucks over. Very, very intelligent defenseman for his young age. So to me, he's already averaging over 21 minutes of ice time per game. I look for that could elevate in a few games here at the Kronwall. So for me, DeKeyser's going to pick up those minutes. He's been the best defenseman all year for the Red Wings. He'll continue to be that guy. And in the interview, certainly John Keating mentioned Brendan Smith's partner, Mike Green. How much do you expect from him as far as being a veteran presence with Nick out there, maybe providing a little offense as well? I think Mike Green's very good at that first pass out of your zone. He's -3 this year. He hasn't been rock solid defensively. At times he gets up to 21, 22 minutes, which I think is a little much for him. I'd like to see him around that 18-minute mark. That's when I feel like he's his most effective. Listen, him and Smith have been a good pairing this year. They really move the puck out well. They haven't been, like I said, rock solid defensively, but they've been obviously good enough. But I'd like to see him, like I said, around that 18-minute mark. 22 minutes is a little much for me for Mike Green. And we'll see about our Alexei Marchenko as well. You mentioned him as well, another guy that Jeff Blashill has a lot of confidence in. We'll see if he takes on more responsibility as well as the season rolls on. Another rookie who's also taken the league by storm. We'll have a closer look at him. Dylan Larkin, does he have the edge over Jack Eichel? We'll compare the two when Red Wings Live rolls on from the studios here in Southfield and Buffalo. Red Wings Live is presented by Honda. Visit your Detroit area Honda dealers today or go to DetroitHondaDealers.com. Time now for our Xfinity look around the league as Chris Osgood and I welcome you back to this edition of Red Wings Live. And Ozzy, Dylan Larkin and Jack Eichel have similar numbers so far this year in their rookie seasons, but in your mind, there's a big difference between these two guys. What is it? Well, their numbers they mirror each other, and they really have the same game. I just think at this point in time, Larkin's a little better overall hockey player. Obviously, you look at the bottom, they're +21 to -13, and that has something to do with who they play with as well. Eichel plays with O'Reilly and McGinn, and now we all know Larkin plays with who? Zetterberg and Datsuk all the time, so that makes a big difference. But obviously, Larkin, to me, he makes players better around him, even at his young age, 19, where Eichel hasn't quite reached that level yet. Both dynamic players are very good players, but I think the advantage goes to Larkin, not only just because of his intelligence and his defensive prowess and how he plays the game, but also he plays for the better team. That makes a big difference. Buffalo is one of those up-and-coming teams. Yeah, they're going to be good in 2 or 3 years, but right now the Red Wings are much, much better, and that's a huge advantage for Larkin playing with Datsuk and Zetterberg. We see Dylan Larkin's speed on display every night, but he told me the fastest guy he's ever played with was Jack Eichel. How come we don't see Eichel use his speed the same way we see Larkin use his? And there's not a lot of room on the ice either, and I think that comes down to who you play with as well. Listen, Zetterberg knows how to use Larkin. Where in the same time, O'Reilly, now he's the goal scorer on that line where Eichel plays, so he feels like he needs to get him the puck. McGinn is quick too, but Eichel doesn't have the same type of guys to play with. They're going to use him the same way Zetterberg used Larkin.
Another opportunity to see these two young stars added again tonight as the Red Wings look for their 6th road win so far this month. Ken Daniels, Mickey Redmond have the call. Enjoy the game. See you later.